Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah bless you all, my dear friends. Let's continue then. Let's see how the story of Sayyidina Shu'aib concluded. Al-Fatiha. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد صلاة تفرحه وتسعده وترضيه واجزه بها عنا ما هو أهله يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم زدنا ولا تنقصنا وأكرمنا ولا تهنا وأعطنا ولا تحرمنا وآثرنا ولا تؤثر علينا وأرضنا وارض عنا يا كريم. So we were looking at the story of Sayyidina Shu'aib, Khatib al-Anbiya, the orator of the prophets, alayhim salatu wasalam. And we saw in his speech to his people that he called them to morality, he called them to goodness. Nothing he was telling them was bad, or nothing he was saying should make a person think, no, this I can't do this. Why? Because it's innately it's good. So only a thief, if you say, like if you take a thief, you hide his identity from people, and then so he's confident no one's going to know who he is, and then you say, look, is stealing right? And he's going to say, no, it's wrong, right? And but when it comes to defending himself in his own foul actions, he might say, yes, it is good. But when that's not on the state, and that's not at stake, and that's not on the line, generally these people will say, yes, it's wrong. The same with all other things. So what Sayyidina Shu'aib was calling them to, like just being fair and not ripping people off, turning to God, worshipping Him, thanking Allah for his, for His blessings. All of this is sound, it's reasonable. It's only like a modern phenomenon where they seem to try to make religious people or people who believe in God to seem unreasonable. No, if you understand Islamic theology, it makes perfect sense. God does exist, and He's not like this image of a big man who lives in paradise, as the Christians and the Jews think He is. No, He's a supreme being of absolute perfection, not bound by time and place, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends His prophets like this, but what do those who oppose them do? They follow their innate desires and passions, these things that make them want to put their own benefit and their own ulterior motives over the truth. So after all of this debate, Sayyidina Shu'aib then says, "Wa ya qawmi, O my people." It still shows concern for them, but it's got to a point where they've gone too far. So he says, okay, let's see how it plays out. وَيَا قَوْمِ اِعْمَلُوا عَلَى مَكَانَتِكُمْ إِنِّي عَامِلٌ. Brilliant. So persist in your ways, for I too will persist in mine. It's more than that, we will see. So فَتَعْلَمُونَ مَنْ يَأْتِيهِ عَذَابٌ يُخْزِيهِ وَمَنْ هُوَ كَاذِبٌ. Subhanallah. وَارْتَقِبُوا إِنِّي مَعَكُمْ رَقِيبٌ. Subhanallah. So he says, oh my people, calling out to them, talking to them, saying, "I'malu ala makanatikum." So this has a couple of meanings. One, where he's saying persist in your ways. Makan is a place, makana is a position. So it's not necessarily a place, it can be a rank. It's also a capability. So keep working to the utmost capacity you have. Keep doing everything you have, that you do, that you choose, that you want to do. Keep doing that. But there's also a meaning of, because they threaten Sayyidina Shu'aib, there's also a meaning of do your worst. Right? Use your utmost capability and, lay down whatever plans you want, take any steps you want. Don't think about his rahat, his family. Don't think about any of them. Do your worst. Bring this harm to me that you've been threatening me with, or you've been implying that you've been holding back. Do your worst. Go to the nth degree in your kufr and your disobedience and in your plot to harm me. Go ahead. Let's see. So he's got to that point. So now it's firm. Sometimes people see the punishments that come down from God onto people who disobeyed Him. And then they say, oh, well, He should have shown mercy. Well, the mercy was there. The mercy is there at the beginning. Allah starts with mercy and His favor and forgiveness. Like turn to God, and all that you've done in the past will be washed away, wiped away, gone. But they don't. So it's only after they stubbornly persist in their disbelief and their wrong actions does the punishment come. So the mercy is always there. This just that they turn away from it. Inni amil, you do this. So i'malu ala makanatikum, He's commanded them, you do it. Inni amil, I will do my utmost. Nominal sentence with inna as well, firmly saying, I will keep on calling people to Allah. I will keep on worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thanking Him and worshipping Him as He deserves. And I will keep on highlighting where your failures are and what you do is wrong and it's immoral. So you do your worst, I will do my utmost. And then, so what does He say? سوف تعلمون, you will see. Sofa, you can interpret it as Imam Burhanuddin al-Biqai says, بوعد لا خلف فيه وإن تأخر زمنه, that it's a promise which will not be broken, but even if it's delayed, even if it's not immediate, it's a promise that will not be broken. So سوف تعلمون, at some point in the future you will know for sure. What will you know? من يأتيه عذاب يخزيه, who it is that a punishment will come and then humiliate. Who is this person? Because what did they do? They were threatening him. Had it not been for your raht, we would have stoned you. I killed him in a very horrific and humiliating way. So this is what they were threatening him with. And oh, you're lucky that we haven't done this and we've let you off. All of this. So he's saying, do your worst. Do everything you can. Keep going the way you're going, and do your worst against me. I'm going to do my utmost, and then we'll see who gets a punishment that comes to him, a punishment which utterly, completely humiliates him. Yeah, woman who are kadhib. And we also see who is the true, firm, resolute liar. It's them. They've been implying it's him, but it's them. And what are their lies? We don't understand most of what you say. That was a lie. It was clear what he's saying is good and moral, but they turned away. And, when their mockery, and then all the sarcasm, all of these things, them turning away from him and accusing him of being, someone who's, not wise and not intelligent. A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah. So this is what they brought onto themselves. So he's saying, we'll see. فَسَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. You will certainly know who it is that this adhab is going to come to. يَأْتِهِ, it'll come quickly. And who is the firm, resolute liar. وَارْتَقِبُوا, رُقُوب, raqaba. This word, to look out, to watch out for something, is connected to the word for neck, for raqaba, right? Because you move, if you're like a lifeguard at a seaside, for example, he can't just sit there staring at the waves. He's got to keep his eye on everyone. So he looks around in every direction. So someone who's on the watch out and, just looking out for something, he's got to keep, looking for any possible change in every detail that's there that can be noticed. He needs to notice it. So he says, "Fartaqibu, keep looking, watch for it to come. Inni ma'akum raqib," and he uses an intense form for himself. I with you am a raqib, someone who's watching intently and waiting for this, and it's going to come. So that's what he says. Inni ma'akum raqib. I'm also with you, watching out. Very strong point. And he's watching because he's waiting for the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the relief of these difficulties of having to face their harshness and harm. وَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا نَجَّيْنَا شُعَيْبًا وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ بِرَحْمَةٍ مِنَّا وَأَخَذَتِ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا الصَّيْحَةُ فَأَصْبَحُوا فِي دِيَارِهِمْ جَاثِمِينَ. Just look at this. Where have we seen this before? وَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا, and when our command came, we saved Shu'aib and those who believed with him by a mercy from us, and the mighty blast overtook the wrongdoers, and so they fell lifeless in their homes. So this is similar to what happened to Thamud, it's similar to what happened to Ad, similar to what happened to the people of Sayyidina Lut, alayhi salatu wasalam. Everyone gets an appointed time. وَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا, and when our command came, our sentence was carried out. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows people time to change, time to stop, time to reflect. This is the nature of things. Allah allows it, Azza wa Jal. And what people do with that time is up to them. And if they turn away, then they're just piling on, they're just accruing more and more sins that they'll get punished for. But if they stop and reflect and are sincere and decide, it's a choice at the end of the day. A person just has to make a choice. Am I going to be true and sincere to God? Or am I going to bury all that, pretend it doesn't exist, and keep doing what I want to do? That's what it comes down to, right? A'udhu billah, Allah protect us. So this is what happened. So they chose not to serve God. And so when that time that was allotted to them ended, Allah's will was that the sentences were carried out. وَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا. So ja'a, for something tremendous to come, our command, right? The command for the destruction. نَجَّيْنَا شُعَيْبًا وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ. The same thing was with the other prophets, right? We rescued them, and those we rescued Shu'aib alayhi salatu wasalam, and those who believed with him, birahmatin minna, of a tremendous act of mercy from us. It's tremendous in and of itself, and even more tremendous because it's minna from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the royal we. So out of this tremendous mercy, Allah forgave them, forgave the believers, rescued them because they followed his prophet. And so what happened to the disbelievers? What happened to the rest of them? وَأَخَذَ, just look at this word, أَخَذَ, just the fierceness and the power and the intensity of this punishment just comes through this verse. The Hamza is a hard letter, and so is the Kha. وَأَخَذَتِ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا الصَّيْحَةِ. The sayha, the blast, it took them. And we can say, like, if you can use it in like a very personification understanding that it's just this thing just grabbed them, seized them, it took them. They have no escape, they have nowhere to run, there's no way to get away from it. وَأَخَذَتِ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا الصَّيْحَةِ, the blast. And where have we seen this before? It's the same as what happened with Thamud. So Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam screamed, and the sound waves will have destroyed the place. And we see in Surah Al-A'raf, I believe, Abu Saud mentions it, that, the ground shook, and that's what happened. And so just like with Thamud, they were destroyed in the same way, these people were destroyed in the same way. Just complete destruction, utter destruction, annihilated, and no one remained. And it's their own choices. No one can say God did anything wrong to them. It was their own choices. They knew the consequences and they chose their actions. It's the same as someone knowing, when there was during the pandemic, when people were told, lockdown, stay at home, and then don't go, flaunting these rules. And people went out and then they got fined. So when someone knows a consequence and then they do an action to contravene the rule and to bring on the consequence, and then when the consequence comes, they should not be surprised at what happens. It's just as simple as that. So فَأَصْبَحُوا, so in the morning they became. So the morning time is a time where you expect a lot of good, and but it didn't come in it. فَأَصْبَحُوا فِي دَارِهِمْ, so in their house, their home, where they felt firm and secure and happy, and now, their homeland where they moved about in with ease and comfort. جَاثِمِينَ, so they felt lifeless in their homes. جَاثِمِينَ, we talked about this, it's like when like a camel sits down, and so they're lying on the ground, facing the ground, still, dead, unmoving, destroyed. That's how they ended up, because of their own choices. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَأَلَّمْ يَغْنَوْا فِيهَا, as if they had never lived there. ألا بعدا لمدين كما بعدت ثمود. So pay attention, listen up. Allah, also away with Madian as it was with Thamud, because they had the same type of rebellion, same type of attitude, and the same punishment came to them. So Thamud are mentioned here again. But he said, كَأَلَّمْ يَغْنَوْ فِيهَا غَنَاء means, it means iqama, to stay in a place, but there's this understanding of wealth that comes with it. That it's as though they didn't live in that place, in a well-to-do situation. They didn't live in that place well off, in comfort, having full control of their homeland, going wherever they want, doing whatever they want, enjoying life. So it's like a hustling, bustling, thriving city, and everyone's enjoying life. It's as though the destruction was so utter, there are no signs of it. So a person who goes there and looks, it's as though, there was no civilization here 24 hours ago, a week ago. Just all gone, all because of their choices. A'udhu billah. And Thamud made the same choices, but they weren't listening. So speaking of bad choices, next we learn about Fir'aun's bad choices. Allah sent him two tremendous prophets. So we learn about Sayyidina Musa. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا وَسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ. By God, we truly sent Musa. Arsalna, so indicates Musa wanted to go and bring these people to guidance. Musa بِآيَاتِنَا, with our tremendous, amazing signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him with, and وَسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ, ultimate authority, the authority of him being a prophet, a messenger of God, the authority of having the miracles that support his claim, the authority of having the truth with him, the authority of just him being who he is, and the effect a prophet has on the people around them, and the authority of clear proof and guidance, and sound arguments to destroy any sort of opposition that they have through logic and the truth. But they chose to avoid it. So he said, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا, indeed we truly sent Musa بِآيَاتِنَا, with our tremendous signs. What are these signs? We talked about them before. That the 9 signs of the Asa, the staff that turned into a snake, Sayyidina Musa's hand when he put it under his arm and brought it out, or into his jayb. Jayb literally means the collar area. When he put it there and brought it out, it would be white. The locusts, the lice, the frogs, the blood, loss of fruit, and also a plague that came. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested them with it, and then he removed all these things as well, but they didn't learn. Right, so all these signs to show them this truly is a messenger of God with a message from God. Listen to the message, flourish. But they chose not to. And then وَسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ. The Mubin is interesting because it's from Bayan, but not it's from Abana, not just Bana, Abana. Abana indicating that the authority that Sayyidina Musa had through the revelation, everything else, was not only clear, but it was telling others. It's as though it was expressing, I am clear authority. You should see this. You should recognize this. And Sultan, the pattern fu'lan, that is full. Not just full, but it's the ultimate manifestation. Like what a human being sent by God can show that I am a representative of God. It was there on display. Everyone could see it. They just chose not to. Right? So, what happened? إلى فرعون وملئه فاتبعوا أمر فرعون وما أمر فرعون برشيد. So to Pharaoh and his chiefs, but they followed the command of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh's command was not well guided. So what happened? Allah sent Sayyidina Musa to Fir'aun. Fir'aun was full of himself, full of arrogance, thinking he owned the world, he was the wealthiest person there, the most power, all of these things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Musa with guidance and this proof that couldn't be denied. He sent them to Fir'aun and his mala, his governors, the elite of Fir'aun's court. Why are they mentioned? Because they're the one who are doing the day-to-day running of the country. Fir'aun would give the orders and then they'd be the ones enforcing it through others who they commanded. And so they were all expected to learn the truth. This elite group in Egypt, had they become Muslims, many others would have become Muslims, but they chose not to, right? But what did they do? Did they listen to the guidance? Did they humble themselves to the authority Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam had? No. وَاتَّبَعُوا أَمْرَ فِرْعَوْنَ. They assiduously followed the command of Fir'aun. Whatever he said, that's what they wanted to do, down to the letter, without any sort of hesitation, doing every single thing they could do to make their situation worse in this life and the next. وَمَا أَمْرُ فِرْعَوْنَ بِرَشِيدٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Pharaoh's command was not well guided. So Rashid from Rushd, it means for someone to Rashada is like to someone to do what's good. So not actively do, oh, this is good, so I'm doing it. But anyway, what it means is someone who does something and it ends up as good. So a Rashid is whatever he does, it ends up in the best, with the best outcome. And this is how you want everything to be. And someone who does the opposite, where everything he does comes to failure, you'd say he's a fool because he can't do anything right. So Rashid is the exact opposite. And although it's explicitly saying that, Fir'aun's command wasn't Rashid, so what else is there? It's the opposite. It's safa, it's foolishness. So Allah is saying that these people were foolish for following Fir'aun's command, not just following it, وَاتَّبَعُوا ittiba' as much as they could. They did everything they could to follow his command, and that's where they went wrong. وَاتَّبَعُوا أَمْرَ فِرْعَوْنَ. And Fir'aun's command is not right. And so we'll see the consequences of this and what he'll do to them and for them on the Day of Judgment. We'll see that next time. But the guidance is clear. And, to every human being out there, Allah's word, God has commanded us, He's communicated with us. The book itself explicitly states the truth, and it's very clear that it's from God. Listen to the supreme confidence with which He speaks, the clear, absolute, illuminating truths He expresses. This is where it is. This is the truth. This is what your Creator wants for you. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us people who are guided and people who keep doing everything right in this life, and to make us people who are resurrected with His beloved prophets alayhim wassalatu wassalam on the Day of Judgment, and for Him to enter us into His blessed garden as blessed chosen servants who He is pleased with. Amin ya Rabbal Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.